This is
Lilu Dallas Multipass.
You've seen the flying taxis crisscrossing a futuristic New York City. You know the phrase, multi-pass by heart. You've been mesmerized by the ethereal, blue-skinned diva and her impossible opera performance. You probably think you know The Fifth Element *. It's a cornerstone of 90s sci-fi, a cult classic that's been celebrated for decades. But what if the film you know and love is just the glittering tip of a very weird, very chaotic, and very passionate iceberg? What if behind the iconic visuals and unforgettable characters, there are stories of on-set love affairs that changed lives, a completely invented language used to pass secret notes, and a nearly catastrophic explosion that was 100% real? This isn't just a movie. It's a testament to an obsessive vision, creative madness, and pure dumb luck. The story of how it was made is just as wild, unpredictable, and entertaining as the film itself. Today, we're not just scratching the surface, we're diving into 20 of the weirdest and most fascinating facts that will forever change how you see this 90s sci-fi masterpiece. Let's start with the sheer scale of this thing. When The Fifth Element came out in 1997, it wasn't just another big-budget sci-fi flick. It was a historic gamble. With a budget of around $90 million, it shattered records to become the most expensive European film ever made at the time. And to be clear, this wasn't a movie backed by the bottomless pockets of a major Hollywood studio. This was a French production, a deeply personal passion project from director Luc Besson that had ballooned into a cinematic titan. The financial risk was astronomical. Every franc was a bet on Besson's singular, eccentric vision. That colossal budget wasn't just for show. You see every dime on screen. It paid for the hundreds of mind-bendingly detailed costumes, the groundbreaking effects, and the enormous, meticulously built sets. The production was so massive that Besson, a proud Frenchman, couldn't even find a studio in France large enough to contain his vision. He had to move the entire production to London, taking over 7 soundstages at the legendary Pinewood Studios, including the cavernous 007 stage, to bring his world to life. The film was more than a movie, it was a creative invasion. In the end, it grossed over $263 million worldwide, a massive success that proved the gamble paid off, cementing its legacy as both a cult classic and a financial landmark. One of the film's most memorable locations is Floston Paradise, the luxurious space liner where the second act unfolds. It's a riot of color, questionable taste, and futuristic leisure that feels completely alien, yet strangely familiar. That's because its design wasn't pulled from some far-flung sci-fi concept, but from the very real world of tourism. The entire aesthetic of the spacefaring resort was modeled directly on real-world cruise ships. Seriously, think about it. The grand lobbies, the sprawling buffets, the slightly tacky decor, the scheduled entertainment tits, all there. The designers took the idea of a luxury cruise and just cranked it up to an intergalactic 11. They then layered this cruise ship foundation with an exaggerated Art Deco influence, giving the sets those sweeping curves and geometric patterns. This choice was brilliant because it grounds the fantasy in a reality we all recognize. It's not a sterile spaceship like the Nostromo from Alien. It's a floating Las Vegas hotel in space. This makes it the perfect, chaotic playground for a character as flamboyant as Ruby Road and for Corbin, Dallas's mission to collide with Zorg's evil plans. The Mongoloids are the film's go-to alien thugs, brutish reptilian mercenaries who are as incompetent as they are menacing. One of their most distinct features is their movement. They walk with a clumsy, jerky gait that feels non-human and animalistic. It seems like a deliberate acting choice, but the truth is, this signature Mongoloid swagger was a complete accident. It was an unintentional side effect of the costumes. The actors were encased in heavy, full-body latex suits with complex animatronic masks. These suits looked fantastic on camera, but they were incredibly restrictive. The sheer weight and inflexibility of the rubber and mechanics severely limited the actors' mobility. They couldn't walk or gesture with any natural fluidity. The jerky movements you see on screen weren't a choice. They were a physical necessity. The actors were literally fighting their costumes in every scene. In a classic case of movie-making magic, this production headache ended up creating a memorable physical trait for the aliens, giving them a unique presence they might not have had with more forgiving costumes or modern CGI. The opera scene is the heart of the entire film. It's a breathtaking sequence that blends high art, brutal action, and critical plot into one unforgettable package. The emotional core is the revelation that the 4 elemental stones aren't, in some case, they're hidden inside the Diva Plavek body. It's a shocking twist that raises the stakes to an unbearable level. It's hard to imagine the movie without this moment, but incredibly, it was a last-minute addition to the script. Originally, the stones were just supposed to be in a container the diva was protecting. But during development, the filmmakers realized they needed to escalate the drama. The idea was born to place the stones inside her, making their recovery a desperate, bloody act of battlefield surgery. This single change transforms the entire sequence. Suddenly, Korban isn't just fighting to get a box. He's fighting to save this incredible being while also trying to get the only things that can prevent galactic annihilation. It turns the diva from a simple courier into a tragic, living vessel, making her death infinitely more poignant. It was a stroke of genius that shows how one late-game choice can elevate a good scene into an iconic one. Throughout the film, Dallas is down to his last cigarette and his last match. The movie keeps drawing attention to his little box of Good Luck brand matches, which holds only one single matchstick. At first, it just plays like a running gag, a small detail emphasizing how down on his luck our hero is. He's a guy with exactly one shot left at everything. But this seemingly minor prop is so much more than a gag. It's a symbolic thread woven through the entire story. That single match represents hope, chance, and the idea that even when you're at your lowest, one last spark can be enough. This pays off beautifully in the climax. With the world on the brink of destruction, Korban needs to activate the 4 elements with fire. He reaches for his trusty box, and that one solitary match that's been with him the whole time becomes the instrument of salvation. He uses it to light a small fire, triggering the stone's power. What began as a quirk representing his bad luck transforms into the literal spark that saves humanity. To everyone, she is simply Lilu. It's a short, sweet name that fits her perfectly. But that name is just a tiny fraction of her full designation. Her complete name is a glorious mouthful, Liluminai Leketariba, Laminakai, Ekbat Te Sabat. This isn't just a random collection of cool-sounding syllables. It's a piece of world-building that reveals her immense significance. The sheer length and complexity of the name immediately set her apart. It's not a name you give a person, it's a title, a designation that carries an air of ancient royalty or divine origin. It hints at a history far beyond human understanding. In a film where she is literally the supreme being, her name needs to reflect that cosmic importance. By giving her this elaborate, almost unpronounceable full name, the filmmakers add another layer to her mystique. It reinforces that she is not just a woman, but a living relic, a perfect being reconstructed from a 2,000-year-old blueprint. It's a detail most viewers miss, but it makes Lilu feel like an intimate nickname for a being of unimaginable power. The title is, of course, The Fifth Element, and the plot is about uniting 5 cosmic forces. But the filmmaker's fascination with the number 5 goes way deeper. The number is obsessively woven into the fabric of the movie, appearing in dozens of small, hidden details. It's a recurring motif that reinforces the film's central theme in subtle, almost subliminal ways. The obvious ones are tied to the plot. 5 elements. The great evil returning every 5,000 years, and the bomb timer stopped with just 5 seconds to spare. But it gets much more granular. Korban has only 5 points left on his driver's license. Ruby Road tells his listeners he'll be back in 5 minutes. Zorg's bomb has a 5-second timer. The priest's apprentice, David, schedules appointment for 5 o'clock. The list goes on and on. This isn't a coincidence. It's a deliberate creative choice, an inside joke that echoes through the entire story. In Korban Dallas's tiny apartment, he has one roommate, a fluffy ginger cat named Flick. On the surface, the cat seems like little more than set dressing, but Flick is surprisingly important, telling us a great deal about our hero and even helping move the plot forward. When we first meet Korban, he's a lonely, isolated soldier. The cat is the only living creature he shows any real affection to. His gentle interactions with Flick immediately establish a softer side to his gruff exterior. The cat is visual shorthand for his loneliness. He talks to Flick because there's no one else there. This makes his immediate connection with Lilu even more powerful. Plus, the cat triggers key moments. When Korban needs to hide Lilu from the police, he cleverly puts the cat in the shower to create a noisy distraction. Later, the cat's presence in the refrigerator is what alerts Korban that his apartment has been searched and he's in serious danger. The film doesn't need to tell us Korban is lonely but has a good heart. It just shows us his relationship with his cat. The character of Lilu is the soul of the fifth element. She needed to be otherworldly, vulnerable, physically capable, and captivating. Finding the right actress was an epic hunt. Director Luc Besson didn't just hold a few auditions. He met with 200 to 300 actresses in person to find his perfect being. Milla Jovovich was one of them, but she didn't get the part on her first try. She was initially passed over. Only later, after failing to find the unique combination of innocence and strength he was looking for, did Besson reconsider her. What made her stand out wasn't just her striking looks, but her fierce intelligence and surprising physical prowess. Besson saw someone who could be both a newborn discovering the world and a supreme warrior capable of taking down a squad of monsters. Her dedication was total. She threw herself into the physical choreography and, most famously, mastering the film's invented language. It was this unique blend of ethereal beauty and absolute commitment that finally won her the role, turning Her into a sci-fi icon. Jean-Baptiste Emmanuel Zorg is one of the most wonderfully bizarre villains in sci-fi history. He's a sniveling corporate tycoon with a ridiculous haircut, a strange accent, and a love for monologuing about chaos. He's both terrifying and deeply pathetic. This unforgettable character came from actor Gary Oldman, drawing inspiration from two of the most unlikely sources imaginable, Ross Perot and Bugs Bunny. Let's unpack that. The first piece was Ross Perot, the eccentric Texas billionaire who ran for president in the 90s. Oldman borrowed Perot's distinctive hypia vocal patterns. This gave Zorg his unique off-kilter accent and unsettling corporate speak. But the physical energy came from a much weirder place. Oldman has said he also channeled the manic, unpredictable energy of Bugs Bunny. Think about it. Zorg's sudden bursts of frustration, his over-the-top reactions, and his almost comical belief in his own genius have the quality of a Looney Tunes character who is constantly being out. This fusion of a real-life billionaire and a cartoon rabbit is what makes Zorg so memorable. We're halfway through, and as you can see, the story behind The Fifth Element is just as wild as the movie itself. If you're enjoying uncovering these secrets, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We still have 10 more mind-blowing facts to go, including a record-breaking explosion and the truth behind the film's iconic language. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Chris Tucker's performance as Ruby Road is a masterclass in high-octane flamboyance. His unforgettable costumes, designed by the legendary Jean-Paul Gaultier, are a huge part of the character. But getting Tucker to embrace that extreme aesthetic required a bit of clever manipulation from the designer. Gaultier knew the outfits he designed were a lot. He worried Tucker might be hesitant to wear something so outrageous. So, he devised a plan. For the fitting, Gaultier first showed Tucker an impossibly wild costume, one even more extreme than what was planned. Originally conceived for the musician Prince, as predicted, Tucker took one look and refused. Then Gaultier presented the actual costume, the now famous leopard print jumpsuit. By comparison, it seemed almost tame. The trick worked. After seeing the first option, Tucker was happy to wear the second. It's a hilarious anecdote that shows the genius of Gaultier, who knew exactly how to get a performer to embrace one of cinema's most gloriously weird characters. The visual identity of The Fifth Element is one of its most powerful qualities. A huge part of that unique aesthetic comes from the incredible costumes by French fashion's enfant terrible, Jean-Paul Gaultier. He wasn't just a hired hand, he was a core architect of the film's world, and his dedication was obsessive. He didn't just design the main outfits. He designed every single costume in the film, including those for hundreds of extras. The sheer volume is staggering. Gaultier created over 900 distinct costumes for the production. Think about the Fhloston Paradise scenes, packed with bizarrely dressed tourists. Every one of those outfits was a Gaultier original, but his commitment went even further. On days they shot big crowd scenes, Gaultier was on set, personally checking every extra before the cameras rolled. He'd walk through the crowds, adjusting a collar or fixing a strap, ensuring every person on screen fit his futuristic vision. That level of hands-on detail is almost unheard of, and it's that passion that infuses every frame with its unforgettable style. The breathtaking, sprawling cityscapes of The Fifth Element feel incredibly real. And while there's digital magic at play, the futuristic New York City was brought to life through a painstaking combination of old-school practical effects and emerging digital technology. The foundation of the city was a massive set of highly detailed miniatures. A team of artists spent months building scale models of the city's buildings, some over 20 feet tall. They were intricate works of art, with tiny details like furniture and blinds visible through thousands of tiny windows. Sophisticated motion cameras then moved through these miniature sets with incredible precision. This practical footage was seamlessly blended with some of the earliest and most ambitious CGI of the era. The endless lanes of flying cars, for instance, were a cutting-edge digital creation. The Fifth Element was a bridge between two eras of filmmaking, a beautiful marriage of the physical and the digital. That's why its visuals still look so stunning and tangible today. The fiery climax on Fhloston Paradise is one of the film's most thrilling moments. As the Mongolor's plan goes horribly wrong, the entire resort goes up in a spectacular ball of fire. Today, this would be CGI, but Luc Besson loves practical and camera action, and he insisted on doing it for real. He didn't just want a big explosion, he wanted the biggest one possible. The resulting fireball in the Fhloston Concert Hall was, at the time, the largest indoor explosion ever filmed. To even attempt it, the production had to use the legendary 007 stage at Pinewood Studios. They rigged the massive set with an enormous amount of pyrotechnics and detonated it in one terrifying take. The blast was so powerful, it actually went slightly out of control, causing a fire that took nearly half an hour to extinguish. It perfectly captures the film's audacious, go-for-broke philosophy. The explosion wasn't just an effect, it was a genuine, record-setting event that almost burned the set down, all to get the perfect shot. The performance of the diva Plavalagina is the film's artistic centerpiece. The soaring aria and the grandeur of her stage create a truly transcendent moment. Given the scale, many assume her Grand Theater was a real, historic venue. But the stage she graced wasn't borrowed, it was built. The entire sequence was filmed on a massive, elaborate set constructed inside the 007 stage at Pinewood Studios, the same one they would later blow up. The challenge was to create a space that felt as authentic and prestigious as a world-class opera house, and the design team succeeded brilliantly. The opulent gold leaf, the rich red velvet, and the sheer architectural scale aren't movie magic hiding a real location. They are pure movie magic, built from scratch. This decision perfectly reflects the film's identity, a pop-art sci-fi adventure, that is, at its heart, a true space opera. And it deserved a custom-built stage for its most operatic moment. It's one of the most basic rules of storytelling. The hero and villain must eventually confront each other. Their conflict is the engine of the plot. The Fifth Element takes this rule and gleefully throws it out the window. Despite being the protagonist and antagonist, Corbin, Dallas, and Jean-Baptiste Emmanuel Zorg never share a single moment of screen time. Think about it. They never meet, they never speak, they are never in the same room. The closest they come is narrowly missing each other in a hallway on Floston Paradise. This is an incredibly weird and daring choice. The film's central conflict is fought entirely by proxy. Zorg fights the idea of the perfect warrior, while Corbin fights Zorg's hired guns. Their paths run parallel but never intersect. This bizarre separation actually works. It reinforces the idea that Zorg is a faceless, bureaucratic evil, dealing destruction from a distance, while Corbin is the blue-collar hero, dealing with the messy consequences on the ground. It's one of the many brilliant, unconventional choices that makes the film so unique, but it's almost impossible to imagine anyone but Bruce Willis as Corbin Dallas. His signature blend of cynical wit and heroism seems tailor-made for the role. He is Corbin Dallas. But in the early stages, Luc Besson had a completely different actor in mind. His original choice was Mel Gibson. When Gibson passed, Besson considered casting a lesser-known actor to save money on the film's ballooning budget. The story of how Willis got the part is pure Hollywood chance. Besson was in an executive's office when Willis happened to call about another project. On a whim, Besson pitched him the movie. Willis, intrigued by the story, asked to read the script. A few hours later, he called back and said yes. He was so enthusiastic that he agreed to take a reduced salary. It was a stroke of incredible luck, as Willis's star power was crucial for securing the film's massive financing. A chance encounter gave us one of sci-fi's most iconic heroes. One of the most captivating things about Lilu is her language. When we first meet her, she speaks a rapid-fire, melodic, and completely unintelligible tongue. It doesn't sound like random gibberish. It sounds real. That's because, to a remarkable extent, this was a constructed language, with its own grammar and a vocabulary of over 400 words, all invented by Luc Besson himself. Besson had developed the language over the years he spent writing the story, but it was Milla Jovovich who truly brought it to life. She dedicated herself to mastering it, and she and Besson practiced relentlessly. To make it feel natural, they would hold entire conversations and even write letters to each other using only the divine language. By the end of filming, they were reportedly so fluent they could communicate privately on set without anyone knowing what they were saying. This incredible dedication is what makes Lilu's performance so authentic. She wasn't just reciting nonsense. She was speaking a language she genuinely understood. The chemistry between director Luc Besson and his star Milla Jovovich was undeniable. It's the spark that makes Lilu so vibrant. But that chemistry wasn't just professional. It blossomed into a passionate and life-altering romance on set. A romance that began while Besson was still married to another actress in the film. When production started, Luc Besson was married to French actress Maïwenn Lebesco, but as filming progressed, Besson and Jovovich grew incredibly close. They connected on a deeply creative level, famously using the divine language as their own private code to pass secret love notes. This burgeoning relationship led to the end of Besson's marriage. He and Maïwenn divorced, and shortly after the film's release, he and Milla Jovovich were married. Their marriage would only last 2 years, but the film remains a permanent snapshot of the moment their intense romance began. This behind-the-scenes drama adds a powerful layer to the film. The connection between Corbin and Lilu is mirrored by the real-life passion unfolding behind the camera. This brings us to our number 1 weirdest fact. A piece of trivia that retroactively casts the film's most emotional sequence in a completely different and deeply personal light. The hauntingly beautiful, blue-skinned opera singer, the diva Plavalagina, was played by none other than Maïwenn Lebesco, who, at the time of filming, was Luc Besson's wife. Let that sink in. Luc Besson was directing his own wife in the role of a tragic, dying alien, all while he was falling in love with the film's lead actress, Milla Jovovich. The personal complexity of that situation is staggering. Maïwenn delivers a stunningly memorable performance, embodying the grace of the diva perfectly. It was a pivotal role she reportedly took on only after the original actress dropped out. Knowing the real-life context makes watching the opera scene almost surreal. It's a sequence filled with fictional drama about a dying plea for love to save the universe, now forever layered with the very real human drama of a marriage that was ending. It's a collision of art and life that is both heartbreaking and fascinating. So there you have it. 20 facts that prove The Fifth Element is so much more than a cult sci-fi movie. It's a product of creative genius, happy accidents, massive gambles, and raw human emotion. It's a film born from a teenage dream that grew into a record-breaking production. A film where the hero and villain never meet, where a made-up language became a secret code for lovers, and where real-life heartbreak played out right on screen. The chaos, the passion, and the sheer, unapologetic weirdness of its creation aren't just footnotes. They are the very elements that make it a masterpiece. It's a film that succeeds, not in spite of its oddities, but because of them. It's a reminder that sometimes, the most enduring art comes from the messiest and most wonderfully human places. The next time you watch it, you'll see the miniatures, you'll hear the language, you'll feel the explosion, and you'll know the incredible, bizarre story behind it all. What is your favorite weird fact about The Fifth Element? Did we miss anything? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories behind the movies you love. Thanks for watching.